Michaela Kate again, and I wanted to talk to you about a principle you've probably heard before. Basically, proximity is power. And I have found actually that proximity does not necessarily mean power, and it definitely does not mean influence. Just because you have proximity around somebody doesn't mean it automatically gives you the impact, but definitely the influence that you're probably wanting with that individual. In fact, it might mean the opposite. I actually have two teams that I work with and have worked with before that they have a team leader that pretty regularly will go around daily, kind of every other day, and check in and say, how's it going? What do you need from me? Just kind of those check-in points. And, I would go to the team and say, man, that's awesome. You have a boss, a supervisor who's that engaged, checking in with you on a kind of daily basis. And both of these teams, interestingly, would say to me, yeah, but it doesn't feel real. It just felt like this individual was checking a box. And so right there is an example of proximity necessarily does not mean power. It does not mean influence. It does not mean the impact that you maybe want. And it's funny, I have other teams right now that are finding their team, their healthy team dynamics are actually kind of thriving, and their communication is somehow thriving in this pandemic in 2020. And they're talking more, they're communicating more. And they said it's funny because before we were steps away in an office, and all of a sudden we're having to be very intentional about our communication and what we're talking about. And it's not just kind of, back and forth. And so it's just interesting that more likely you might want to think about who are you in close proximity to, and are you actually being intentional with the impact that you want with those teams, with those relationships? Because in fact, that familiarity might, breed just a sense of, I see them all the time, or, I can talk to them about whatever all the time, when in fact, it's not breeding the intentionality and the focus and the drive and the consistency of communication that you're really wanting. So proximity, it doesn't mean power necessarily, it doesn't mean influence, but true influence always requires intentionality. So your kind of leadership, food for the thought for the day, and until next time.